So what I'm going to do is very quickly go through just a few of the highlights from the assessment. I do hope that you all will go to the website for the assessment and actually look at that. You can see the 140-page summary or pieces of that, or you can see the full 870 pages that represented the entire assessment. It was a very significant effort that we spent over 3 years working on. And the reason we did it is because in 1990, Congress passed a law called the Global Change Research Act that requires that every 4 years one of these assessments be done. Unfortunately, it was then soundly forgotten, and the first one didn't happen until the year 2000, and then it was forgotten again, and we finally did the second one in 2009, and now we are trying to do it every 4 years, and we were going to publish at the end of 2013, except for the government shutdown, and that delayed us, and so it now came out in 2014. This assessment is the most comprehensive analysis of how climate change is affecting Americans, it's affecting our nation now, and how it could affect it into the future. And so I'm just going to quickly go through some of those findings. Before we do that, though, I want to mention that there was over 300 authors. We had a 60-member federal advisory committee that both Mary and I were part of, and then I led the chapter and 2 appendices that related to the science of climate change. There was many other aspects to this assessment, including very extensive review process, both for the public, for other experts in the science of climate and other impacts and so on and so forth, and 2 special assessments by the National Academy of Sciences as part of this process. We divided the nation into 8 different regions as we did it, so there's separate chapters on each of those regions, and then there's separate chapters for each of the sectors that might be important to Americans, such as water, transportation, energy, agriculture, ecosystems, et cetera. The most significant conclusion that I can give you is that human-induced climate change isn't happening somewhere in the future. It's happening now. We're feeling the effects already. It's moved firmly into the present. In fact, the changes we're seeing in climate are occurring about 10 times faster than tends to occur naturally based on analyses of the past climates going back to the end of the last ice age. We usually talk about temperature change, but it isn't just temperature. There's many other indicators that our climate is changing besides temperature. And it's not just atmospheric temperature, it's also the ocean temperatures are increasing at the same rate as the atmosphere. We're seeing changes in precipitation patterns, and we're seeing changes in severe storms and other severe weather events. And the trends for such events, the likelihood of such events are changing as a result of the fact that our background climate is changing. If you ask me about, what is the biggest surprise for you from the assessment, well, that's probably it. We found out a lot more is happening with severe weather events than I ever expected that we would. And in fact, we're now trying to carry that even further by looking at tornadoes and hail and ice storms and trying to understand how those might be affected by the changing climate as well. But that's ongoing research. If we look at the temperature change in the US, this is for the period 1991 to 2011 relative to 1901 to 1960, we see an increase in temperature throughout almost the entire nation, with exception of a few places in the southeast. We don't fully understand why those areas in the southeast aren't seeing the same change. Part of it's due to changes in precipitation patterns, but part of it is also due, oh, Tom's here. Thought I heard that voice. We'll talk later. Part of that change in the southeast may be due to changes in wind circulation patterns, but part of it may also be due to the deforestation that occurred early in the century and then reforestation that occurred much later. Impacts are apparent in every region and in and in important sectors, including some of those I mentioned already, health, water, agriculture, energy, and et cetera. Americans are already feeling the effects of the increases in extreme weather, as already mentioned, but also in sea level rise. I don't remember if I have, I don't have a slide on sea level rise. We've already seen an increase in sea level of about 8 inches, and we can expect that we'll see another 1 to 4 feet increase this century. And then it's not going to stop there, folks. It's going to keep going, and it's going to put a lot of our coastal areas into quite large jeopardy. Human activity is the primary cause, primarily the burning of fossil fuels, but land use change also contributes. There are a lot of things we can be doing about this. It depends on the emission levels we make of carbon dioxide, methane, and other gases that contribute to climate change. There are many actions as a result that we can take to reduce future climate change and its impacts. At the same time, we need to recognize that the changes in climate will continue. We can prevent them from being the very highest or very worst impacts, but we will have more changes in climate this century. There's no question about that as a result of these human activities. And so we need to prepare. We need to adapt to the impacts that we can't avoid. So both mitigation, the reduction in emissions that I referred to, is important. There's a lot we can do with conservation of energy. There's a lot we can do in terms of looking at alternative for energy and transportation that will allow us to do that. At the same time, we will need to adapt, and there's many aspects to the ways that we can adapt to those changes in climate that will occur. So again, I invite you to go see the website to learn more about climate change. If you find you have questions about it, don't hesitate to contact me. I'm at the University of Illinois. Thank you.